Hello everyone and welcome to episode 9 of our Raspberry Pi series, and today we're going to be installing Nextcloud on our Raspberry Pi. In our previous episodes we added a dynamic DNS service that we bought a domain so that we could link that up to our Nextcloud. So if you haven't looked at our previous episodes, I would recommend you do that first so that we can have a good starting point from where we are today. So if you go to our website, Raspberry Pi series, they're all listed on there. If you're on YouTube, you can find it in the channel, in the playlists underneath. It will have a Raspberry Pi series playlist there where you can play through from episode 1 right through to where we are now. So what we're going to do first is we're going to come into Firefox and we're going to open up our Open Media Vault, and we're going to go down the line here to shared folders. And then within shared folders, we're going to make sure that we have an app data folder. Now, I created this earlier on in the course. If you guys want to create this folder now, if you haven't done already, then please do so. This is linked to my external drive, which is a USB drive connected to my Raspberry Pi, which I named my blue drive. But it has kind of a wacky name because I haven't formatted it using this Open Media Vault instance. I had it on a previous server, and I've just basically kept a few files on there and I've just used it on here. So you'll see in a minute what I mean. If you go to relative path and then come down to where it says columns and click absolute path, now you will see the absolute path for this folder that's here. So this is app data and this is app data folder. So there's my wacky name. It's pretty long, isn't it? But that's basically, I don't know why that is. That's obviously because I haven't, set it up on this device. So that's how you find the absolute path. So what we're going to do now is we're going to SSH into our Raspberry Pi using PuTTY because I'm on Windows. And we're going to set up a couple of folders on there. One being a Nextcloud folder, and the second one being a Nextcloud database folder. So that's to store our containers in. So that's going to be within the app data folder. So I'm going to hit PuTTY and then use my Raspberry Pi's IP address. And then on port 1984, so we're SSHing in now. Okay, move that in so you can see. And I'm going to use user1, and then we're going to have our password. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to navigate to this app data folder and create 2 new folders. So cd srv. Okay, and then cd dev, and then if you press tab, it should fill out the full name. Okay, so we're just going to have a look what's in here now. So we've got our app data folder, so we're going to go into that. Okay, so now we've got one folder in there called .dns. We're going to create a new one. So we're going to make directory, and then we're going to call this Nextcloud, all small case. Okay, and then we're going to make another directory, and we're going to call this Nextcloud DB. Okay, so we've got both folders in there now. Super. So that's what we need for this step. So in our previous episode, I purchased a domain that we use with Cloudflare. So that domain was addicted2tech.net. Now, as you can see that if I go to nextcloud.addicted2tech.net and press enter, it shows our Nginx Proxy Manager landing page. So that's what we want to see. If you guys set up your own domain and you use Cloudflare, then please check that this is coming up when you put in your domain name. And remember, it's a subdomain that we're looking at because that's what we want to link to our service. And if you guys use our .dns, please make sure that your domain is resolving to this page so we know that everything is routing through to our Nginx Proxy Manager correctly through our router. So just in brief to show you, we're going to go to our Cloudflare. And you can see that what we've set up here is our addicted2tech.net, which we have proxied. And our CNAME is Nextcloud, so that's our subdomain. And we've put a DNS only on that. So please make sure in Cloudflare that you have DNS only on your subdomain for now. Once we have configured it in Nginx Proxy Manager, we will add a SSL certificate and then we will enable that, and then it should link up perfectly. So moving on, we're going to go to our Portainer. There's an update here. I'll show you how to update that in another episode. But for now, we're going to click on local and then containers. And as you can see, we have our Nginx and our Cloudflare. These are all installed. So what we've got to do now is we've got to click on stacks, and we're going to click add stack, and we're going to call this Nextcloud. So what you're going to need to do now is there will be a link in the description below to our blog post. On there will be a Docker Compose file that you can copy and paste straight into here. So I have that in memory. So I'm going to paste that in. In this Docker Compose file, we're going to need to edit a few fields. Just looking down here where it says volumes. Now, anything below this, before this colon here, okay, is your file path. And anything after is within the Docker. Okay, so this is always outside of the Docker, in the Docker, inside the container. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace this part here with our path name to our database folder. So we're going to go back to our terminal window and we're going to ls out and we're going to go into our app data folder. And then we're going to go into our Nextcloud database folder. And then we're going to use pwd, which is print working directory, and that will give us our full absolute path. Now we've got that in memory. So we're going to paste this into this area before the colon. So there you go. So that's going to store this database within this database folder. Now what we're going to do down here under environment is we're going to keep these all the same. What I would recommend is you definitely change these if you're using it in a live environment, especially open to the internet. I'm just doing this for sake of this episode. I'm going to basically delete this straight after. So to me it doesn't really matter. I'm just basically going to set them all as password. Please use some more, more secure passwords here. And Nextcloud. So Nextcloud, password, all capital letters. The image I'm going to be using is Nextcloud, and I'm going to want it on port 8181. Okay, so it's going to link the internal port 80 to our external port of 8181. We're going to be using, this links basically says that we're going to be using this database. So it links the database through to Nextcloud so they can connect and talk to each other. And then under volumes, we need somewhere to store our Nextcloud. We've got a folder here. So if we go into Nextcloud and then pwd, and there's our absolute path. And then we're just going to take this little area here and we're going to paste it in. Again, it's the same principle. Anything before the colon is your user path where you want to put that. So now that we've done all this, it says restart always. It's fine. And the same here is restart always. So what we're going to do, we're going to deploy this stack, and then we aren't going to go any further from there with this installation. We're going to pop over to Nginx Proxy Manager. We're going to set up the domain name in there and make sure that we link up our Cloudflare to that domain, and then we will continue with the installation after that. So I'm just going to deploy this stack. Okay, so now that's finished deploying, we're going to go to containers. And as you can see here, we have our Nextcloud database and our app. We're going to click on logs. So we can see that's running on 3306 and everything seems to be okay with that. We're going to head back to our app. And yep, that's all we need to see there. That's fine. We're going to go to Nginx Proxy Manager and we're going to click on proxy hosts. We're going to add a proxy. And we're going to call this Nextcloud .addicted to tech.net. So obviously here you would use your own domain name. Make sure you click this add or it doesn't appear. There you are. So Nextcloud.addicted to tech.net, and then we're going to put the IP address of our server, which is 192.168.2.5, and it's on port 8181. So this is the forward port. So this is going to basically send anything through that comes through from the internet to our proxy manager. It will forward it onto this port, which is the port we've set Nextcloud to be on. So from here, we're going to just leave it as it is. We're going to click block common exploits, and then we're going to go to SSL, and we're going to click on here, and we're going to request a new SSL certificate from Let's Encrypt. We're going to force SSL, and we're going to HTTP to support, yes please. And then we're going to click I agree, and we're going to click save. Now with any luck this should all go through nicely. We shouldn't have any problems here. This should all configure nicely here. And there we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back into here, because sometimes it doesn't quite work correctly. See, as you can see, it's disabled these two. We want these on. So we're going to stick them back on again, and everything else should link through. So we're going to click on this little link here, and there you are. We now have a SSL certificate installed. So now we're going to create a username and a password. And I'm going to add a password. And then under here, I'm going to click Storage and Database. And then under MySQL Maria Database, I'm going to put in our accounts that we've set before in our stack. So our user was Nextcloud. Our database password was password in caps. And then it was Nextcloud again. And our database was DB. Okay, so what I found, if I ran this like this, I found that it kept timing out and we kept having problems. So what I'm going to suggest to do, I think it's because it's overloading something within the database file. So what I would recommend doing is just to untick install recommended apps. So it's not using up too much resources, which might result in it timing out. So, you know, put the less strain on it possible to try and get this to, you know, configure and go through. So we're going to click on Finish Setup. Now we've just got to wait for this to finish. Hopefully this will go through now. So if you guys do get any problems with it coming up saying it's timed out, try it again. You might have to use a different user account because obviously the one you used previously will be in the database, but it just timed out with the installation process. So hopefully this should go through now, no problems. And as you can see, we're now logged in. And our Nextcloud instance is set up. Okay, so now that's installed correctly, we're going to go back to Cloudflare. And under our DNS management tab, we're going to come down to where our CNAME is. And then we're going to come to where it says DNS only. We're going to click on there. And then under here, where it says proxy status, we're just going to click on that icon to turn it to proxied. And then we're going to click save. Now what this does is if someone does a reverse DNS check on your domain name, instead of showing your local IP of your Raspberry Pi, it actually shows the Cloudflare IPs. So this keeps you a little bit more secure, stops people from knowing your location, and you know, stops them from being able to attack your local network. So this is a very good security feature of Cloudflare, and I recommend to turn this on. So we're going to go back to our Nextcloud, and we're just going to refresh. And as you can see, everything's working correctly. So that's exactly what we want to see. So now we have Nextcloud installed. So you guys can start using this as much as you want. If you get any problems with this, please let us know in the comments. I told you there was a timeout issue. If you just follow the steps that I said, that will fix that. If you guys enjoyed our episode today, if you can give us a like and hit that subscribe button, that would be great. There also the notification bell so you can be notified of any new content that we create. We have affiliate links in the description below as well as on our website. These, obviously, if you click on these and you purchase something from Amazon or anything like that, we just get a little bit of commission back. So I'd like to take this moment now to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.